This video is going to show you one last interaction between our body systems, and it's also going to show you how our circulatory system relates with our cells individually. Okay, so in this case, we're talking about moving nutrients and oxygen into our cells. Remember, previously we talked about the nutrients coming in and going into the villi to get into the blood, and the oxygen coming in into the alveoli and getting into the capillaries of the blood. We're now talking about the next step, how they get from those capillaries into the cells, okay? So that's the first half of this. So the capillaries of the circulatory system are interacting with the membrane of the cells to deliver this nutrients and oxygen. So what will happen is traveling through our blood, we're going to have lots of nutrients because we exchange them in our villi, and we exchange them from our villi to our capillaries in our digestive system. We're also going to have a lot of oxygen because, again, we exchange that with our alveoli in our lungs. What's going to happen is, as those are traveling through our blood this way, they're going to go past all these different cells. And since there's a high amount here and a low amount in the cells, what those nutrients are going to do is they're going to diffuse in to our cells. So this is how our cells actually get the nutrients and oxygen they need. Once the nutrients and oxygen are in the capillaries, as they flow by the cells, they diffuse. That's what we're going to learn more about. They diffuse into the cell. Now the cell has the nutrients and oxygen that they need. Okay, but as the cell uses that nutrients and oxygen, just like we mentioned before, it's going to create some waste. Okay, and when the cell creates waste, if it lets the waste build up in itself, I'm putting a W here for waste, the waste will then build up and can poison and kill the cell. So as important as it is for the cells to get their nutrients and oxygen, it's similarly important for them to get the waste out. And just in the same fashion as these diffused in, the waste will be higher in the cell, so the waste will diffuse out, and the waste can get into the bloodstream, and then it can travel through the bloodstream until it reaches an excretory system organ so it can be removed from the body. Some excretory system organs would include the kidney. That's where we'd filter things like urea and salt and extra water. It might filter itself at the skin. That's again where we'd lose some heat and some water and some salt. Or it might filter out the waste at the alveoli, and that's where we would have that CO2, again, remember, go from the capillary into the alveoli and out of the body. So a quick overview, again, the nutrients and oxygen that came into the body from the digestive and respiratory system have made their way into the capillaries. They travel down the capillaries where they travel by cells, and they diffuse from the blood capillary into the cell so the cell can use them. When the cell uses them, it creates waste, which then needs to diffuse out of the cell into the blood capillary and head towards the excretory organs, the kidney, skin, and alveoli, so that they can be removed from the body.